Hello everyone, I'm Rameez Tamboli. I'm currently working in Royal Cyber as an architect for ITSM solutions, specific to ServiceNow and BMC Streamline. So today I'm here to talk about the importance of CMDB. In our day-to-day modules, how CMDB and what's the importance of CMDB. We'll go into details about how CMDB helps today's customer to be, in line with the business. So starting starting from this first, what's CMDB? CMDB is a configuration management database. It's one of the most powerful systems to record the CI's asset or any infrastructure for your customers. When it is really properly maintained, it's an essential component to successfully deploy IT operations management as well as IT service management, along with the different service management modules like compliance and configuration management as well. So let's go into details how this helps us. First of all, we will try to understand why do we need CMDB. I mean, what is that is driving customers to have CMDB, a good CMDB into their system. One of the most important reasons, so to describe this is like we are going to have few use cases which we are going to look today for. The first and the most important one is the business application impact analysis, followed by the asset management financial operations. How do we get an ROI when we have a good CMDB? We are going to see into this module. Third is the compliance. Again, it's very important for every organization to be compliant with the licenses they have, the systems that's available for them. So and this obviously saves a lot of cost for them, which they end up paying as a penalty for the different third party vendors from where they have purchased these licenses. So the last one that we'll be talking about will be the configuration management. So starting about this is just an overview of how CMDB looks like into ServiceNow. CMDB sits at the base of ServiceNow, you know, and all other tools like service management, business management, operations management rely on top of the CMDB. So you can see with service management, it comes asset management, change, problem, incident, and different modules as well, HR. For operations management, today most of our customers may be having the private clouds, or they may have services which are offered on SaaS for different applications. Discovery, service mapping, we are going to talk in detail about them in our following slides. Also about the business management, how CMDB helps the business management, how to do, like when we come to the compliance model, we'll talk mostly on the business management part. So going forward, business application impact analysis. As you said, the first point that we'll be looking on is the business application impact analysis. For here, we will discuss about how ITSM relies and how ITSM looks good when there's a CMDB, at top of it. CMDB in a good shape, obviously. Then we will talk about the data center migrations and the event management. Event management, you people may be aware about, most of our customers today have event monitoring tools deployed at in their organizations. So how does this event management looks good when you have a CMDB, talking to this event management tools? So let's look into the details now. The first, this slide will talk to you about how CMDB is playing an important mediator role between the infrastructure perspectives and the business perspectives. Obviously, when we talk about the infrastructure, we talk about servers, we talk about applications, we talk about, you know, different infrastructure devices, network, cloud, and how do it, it impacts the business when you have a good CMDB, a good infrastructure CMDB set up into your system going forward. So first of all, as I said, CMDB is a configuration management database. So when we say the CMDB is a configuration management database, the most important point that comes into my mind is when it's a database, obviously this needs to be fed from something. CMDB should have information. CMDB doesn't automatically generate the information. There are some third-party tools, which are auto-populating the CMDB. They are part of the autumn operations into ServiceNow, but this is one of the most important point where CMDB, to have a good CMDB. So I have mentioned this in a separate one. So how CMDB is auto-populated? CMDB, is auto-populated using ServiceNow Discovery, SSM, and various other tools. It could be any tool which is having an information, Active Directory, and any other tool. So when we run a discovery on from those application and we integrate and we get those data into ServiceNow CMDB, it's one of the most important point when the information comes into CMDB. CMDB stores the information at the first time. Okay, so when we talk about ServiceNow Discovery, basically it's very important for a discovery tool to understand the relationships, because when a discovery tool discovers some assets, the let's for example, I will talk about a server. If ServiceNow Discovery tool discovers a server into your system. So now, server may have various components. It has various application installed on it. It has different hardware components and network components, IP address assigned to it, and many other things. So it's important for the discovery solution to have the complete discovery so that these relationships are being maintained into ServiceNow CMDB. So for this, ServiceNow CMDB comes with two concepts. It comes with top-down discovery and the horizontal discovery. So what's the difference between these two discoveries? As I said, when you discover a server, okay, it has various components. So horizontal discovery will discover all these components separately, because CMDB of ServiceNow has its own class model. So it will discover the different assets based on the class where they belong, and each will have a separate record in a separate class based on the discovery. Then the top-down discovery, what it will do is basically it will create a relationship for this all records between different classes. So you would be able to understand what happens when a server goes down, what all the impact it may have, and what it impacts to a server, but some of the part of it goes down. So it creates a relationship. It's majorly a parent-child relationship type. So this is very important you know to evaluate the impact analysis on any asset. So moving forward, as I was talking about the impact analysis. So the first and the most important point is, as I said in our last slide, that there could be multiple sources for CMDB in ServiceNow. It could be ServiceNow Discovery, it could be SSCM, it could be AD, LDAP, and various other tools, various other third-party tools, because there are a lot of discovery tools in the market which helps customer discover their information uh, to the CMDB. So now the problem is, when you have more than one source to discover the information into CMDB, the most important thing would be, um, like uh, if, for example, I discover a server A by ServiceNow Discovery, and the same server is been discovered by some other discovery tool. So now I have duplicacy of the information. Now my CMDB is not it's not reconciled. I can say it's not the golden database at this moment, because I have duplicates. There could be many duplicates for many CIs into CMDB. So, and if this is an issue, the CMDB will start creating problem than actually solving the problem. So it's very important for your CMDB to be reconciled. There should be no redundant data. It should be clean. So for this, CMDB, what it does is, CMDB has ServiceNow has different rules that we can configure to maintain this CMDB to be clean. One of the most important thing here is the reconciliation. In reconciliation, I can set up rules to uniquely identify an asset. So when you see the final CMDB, you will have only one record, no matter if multiple discovery tools are discovering the same asset. or the same CI. Based on the qualifications, you'll always find only one single record into your CMDB at the end, and this is very much important. Now you also have something known as precedence. For example, when server A is discovered from two discovery tools, you want most of the information from discovery tool 1 and some information from discovery tool 2, because 2 stores the correct information about that particular attributes, or maybe you know fields in. So what you can do, you can set a precedence where and which information should go to the final CMDB. So this makes ServiceNow CMDB one of the most strongest tool, where it makes sure your CMDB is quite clean, and it's very important, as I said, because tomorrow if an application is down, for example, ServiceNow is down. So what could be the reason? Like if any of the servers on which the ServiceNow application is residing is down, ServiceNow is down. So this impact analysis can be done easily when you have clean CMDB, and it's very important to have clean CMDB. As I said, it will be an headache for us if the CMDB is not clean. Instead of solving some problems, it will create us some more other problems going forward. So, what's the business analysis on this? Like, we'll talk about now business service impact analysis. As I said, I was talking about the impact analysis. At the start of my session, I was talking to you about a lot of customers having event management tools, right? So, let's suppose, and this event management tools, basically what they do is they keep monitoring the servers or the infrastructure at your customer place. If they find, that the some server is down, immediately the event management tool will create an incident for that particular server, against that particular server. How would he create an incident against that particular server? Because that particular server information is already present in your service now, and there's a service field where it can relate that CI, to the incident management model, because it is already present in ServiceNow CMDB. So now at the end of the day, you are able to identify that this particular server is down, and based on the impact analysis, what are the applications that will be impacted if that CI is down. So it's very important for you at that particular moment to identify your impact, because there are some mission critical applications that may be relying on these servers, and this is going to lead a business loss for your customers. So it's very important to relate this to an incident. So again, at the end of the year or the end of the day, you can have a report from ServiceNow stating how many times this particular CI was down, and what was the downtime for it, because it will be recorded when you relate that to an incident, and you get a report about the outage of that particular CI. So now, how is a similar thing what it happens to problem management as well. So now, since you have a report about this particular CI going down every day, maybe every 2 days, maybe every week, so there is real some problem. Then you go into ITIL. So then a problem ticket is created for this, to actually identify the root cause, why and what's the impact of this particular server when it's down, and why it's going down so frequently. Is this an issue? We need to find a root cause. So the root cause analysis is done on the problem management. If the problem management team identifies that there may be a need to change something on the server that is causing an error or an issue now and then, so that's the reason we do create a change management process, which will make sure that those required changes are done correctly. And once if the changes are completed, then subsequently the change will be closed, followed by the problem ticket and by the incident ticket. And also, in a change, you may have seen in your day-to-day life, people create change tickets because you do some changes on some servers, and then you have to relate that particular asset or application or a server to a change management process. So let's suppose there's some patching activity uh, at the same time scheduled already on that particular server, and then you are trying to create a new change management process, so that this particular you want to do some change on this particular server. Now you will never come to know if you don't have a proper CMDB. Change management, you can, it helps you, it helps you to look for any other changes, if there is any collision that will be happening at that particular time, because you don't want to do two different changes tomorrow on that same particular server, because it will be difficult for you to roll back changes. So you can maybe reschedule your change, or can be on, or patching can be rescheduled. So you can decide. Even this helps you with any such collisions that's happening at your customer side. So it's very important to have a CMDB, about ITSM, to make your ITSM looks better. So as I said, the advantages of CMDB. So what would happen if there is ITSM without CMDB? So without an accurate CMDB, any change or device or data center could affect a critical business application. As I said, on an impact analysis side, like you can do your impact analysis when you have the information. Like if you're doing any change on a server, you don't know what applications are installed on that server, and how that applications affect your mission critical applications. So you don't have any such analysis. Then what happens? You do a change on this server, there's some problem, it you affect that the server is affected indirectly or directly, then it directly affects the mission critical application, which causes your customer business loss. So you need to be very much sure about, before making a change. You can, and this is only possible for you when you have an accurate CMDB. If you don't have, you miss it. And second thing, I was talking to you about the change management process, without a CMDB. You, if there's two changes been created at the same time by different teams, there is a collision. You don't have a CMDB, which is telling there's already a change plan for this particular CI. So now you end up having two different changes. This is just a small example. It could be some more bigger examples that I can give you, where it really affects the ITSM process. So this is one of an example. It will impact your data center solutions tremendously. So it's very important in today's world to have a proper CMDB. And being a ServiceNow consultant, it's my duty to consult people out there to make sure they have a proper CMDB, and you have the right engineers to maintain that CMDB, because CMDB is one of the most important factor above which all the ITSM, event management, IT operations, compliance, and all other modules depend on. It's very important to have a proper CMDB. Moving forward, there's a slide that I have prepared, like what would happen if an ITSM is with CMDB. It's the same thing. Any technical issues, any impact analysis can be easily done. Changes can be held if there are collisions, and other advantages as I was talking about. So it would be good for your business continuity to have a proper CMDB and an ITSM integrated with CMDB. Going forward to the next module. So asset management or financial optimizations. So how asset management, or how see a proper CMDB help you maintain your asset and to optimize your cost. So asset management or financial. How do you know what software applications are installed in your organization? You know, you are working with a big customer. Let's suppose you have some about 200, 300 servers. I'm talking about small scale or a medium scale customer at this moment. So how would that customer track how many software applications are installed in his organization? How do you manage the life cycle of hardware and software for purchase request to delivery? You may be having some hardware already available, but you're not unaware about it. And when there's a new requirement, you end up buying a new hardware, and you are end up buying a new software which you already have license to use. So do you know which software applications are installed for which company? If you are separated by domains, for different organizations using the same infrastructure, different departments, you never know. How would you? So now it's very important uh, for CMDB. When you have a proper CMDB, you know how many software applications are installed in your organization. You can know how many databases you have. You can know how many um, Microsoft Office you have. Uh, and at the end of the day, if you are licensed to use 10 Microsoft Offices and you have already installed 15, then you can go ahead and order for 5 before paying a penalty. Your customer, you can by informing your customer, or you can actually remove 5 licenses and you be entitled to your license, purchase. So this avoids a lot of cost, which organizations today end up paying as a penalties to the vendors. How do you manage the life cycle of hardware? As I said, see, hardware, you don't know. I'm having some hardware already available, but I don't know how many hardware I have available, and the software which I'm purchasing again. Maybe I have already license for it. So now, if I have a proper CMDB, I would know I already have in hardware now. I just need to purchase some part of it, or I don't need to purchase. So this save a cost here. And if I have a software which has still some licenses to be used available, I can use them. I don't need to purchase more. So this saves a tremendous cost for your customers. It gives a good ROI. It shows a good ROI on the customers. So again, if you know what software applications are installed in your company does not have a sufficient licenses, you can go and order some more licenses, because there's a growing need. Customers need to increase their licenses. You also know where you are paying. you know you actually can track where you are paying more, where you are paying less, and is it really used. It's a good ROI for all the customers across, you know if you have a proper CMDB. So it's very important to have a CMDB in place for you to save this cost. Sorry. So populating the ServiceNow CMDB for asset management. Asset management is basically deciding with ITSM. So how it works here is, CMDB sits on top of ITSM, and CMDB has various consumers like ITSM asset management. So when it comes to asset management helps us to track the asset informations. Really, you can update some information manually through asset management tools, which will directly or indirectly update your CMDB if there is something. So you can do some integrations, because part of ITSM module, you can do some integrations on it and make sure a CMDB is again updated for other informations. Asset management with CMDB. CMDB is populated with infrastructure discovery. We were talking about that. Software and hardware assets are also inventoried or tracked against contract and software licenses. As I said, so you have in asset management, when it comes, it follows the whole purchase request lifecycle, this whole software asset lifecycle. So there's a module altogether in ServiceNow which helps you track, like if you're trying to purchase some more hardware or software, and then you put an information about that software, this will automatically goes and sees into your CMDB. Do we have this already available, or can we reuse this? So asset management works closely with CMDB to save cost. It's one of the most important topics that's been used by the contract management teams in your organization. Software licenses, procurements basically use this information if they want to order, or some new software or hardware assets. So it's one of the most important part of CMDB, the asset management. Compliance. So as I was talking about, you need to know, are you really compliant? For example, your security discovers that the patches which are installed in this particular server are outdated. How would they know? They would know this because they have access to CMDB. CMDB gives them this information. CMDB helps them with this information, and what are the operating systems, databases, and what are the patches on it. Are they compliant to your current security policies? So they can get this information from CMDB. uh, so and they can provide this information. You may have been receiving in your organization and emails from security teams that this particular software is vulnerable, this particular software is vulnerable. How do they get this information? If they have a proper CMDB, they can get this information from the CMDB, and this will help them to be compliant And this even helps the security management team to make sure they're compliant. They rerun these discovery, they get this information updated into CMD. So ServiceNow is a very good tool when it comes to performance analytics. So even CMDB into ServiceNow uses this technology to show your management how good a dashboard or how a report on the asset management of which are compliance and the audits that's been performed on them. So internal corporate procedures and government regulations require time-consuming compliance and auditing of applications and servers, which they are now doing using CMDB. Performing such audits manually can take weeks of efforts or can be done more quickly automatically with an accurate populated CMDB. So it's very important to have an accurate and populated CMDB for you. So how does the compliance or the configuration audits are done? It's done through a configuration auditing into CMDB, into ServiceNow CMDB. It shows you what's the latest patches installed on your operating system, as I said, because this information is already available into your CMDB. And make sure there's no single point of failure for one clusters, because then as I said, there's a service mapping when you run top down discovery. You know how through the impact analysis that how an application is impacted. So you need to make sure you have a clustered application databases, because you don't rely on one single source of database. So all this information is provided to you from your CMDB of ServiceNow, and this helps you to make decisions and for sure avoid cost and give you a good ROI in future for this. So what's actual versus desired? So now, as I said, ServiceNow comes with a very the technological performance analytics module, which will give you what is the actual state and what should be the desired state for your CMDB. Like a desired state is set to CMDB data configuration items, as it is necessary to order to ensure that resources adhere the standard such as memory and disk space or the patch levels. For example, there's one application installed, and the minimum compatibility for this is 8 GB RAM, but for that particular server you have 4 GB RAM. So at the end of the day, you get a report from CMDB of ServiceNow that that should be the desired state for it, and that's the current state. So you can be sure at the first, like you know, you need to get your RAM increased on that particular server. Otherwise, this will impact your application. So that's how you get a report from CMDB for actual and the so the change process will be set the desired process. Obviously, any changes, if you realize that there's a hardware issue on some particular server, but it needs to be increased, so this has to be followed through a change management process. Discovery tool, once the change is completed, when the next time the discovery runs on that particular server, you will come to know the actual state of it. It will be updated into your ServiceNow CMD. So here are some of the reports that I have took from ServiceNow, which will give you how the desired state report generates reporting for the CIs that fails to match the exit. Once you run this report, you get to know what all CIs are not actually to the desired state, and that's the current actual results for them. So it makes your life very easy into ServiceNow, because the desired states and actual states, this it's very important for to be proactive for this type of um, for this type of things, because it's very important. It's going to directly impact your applications. um, uh, it may cause downtimes. It's very important for you to know where you are lagging, because you just cannot go around millions of assets and check them one by one. And you need a tool like ServiceNow to tell you, oh, come on, that's the state which is not compliant to the actual state. So please, that's the actual state is not compliant to the desired state. So please go and update. And it may even there's a process in ServiceNow where it can automatically create a change, and the infrastructure team can make sure they achieve the desired state. So it's up to your customers to enable this. So now, you know, um, I was talking about the infrastructure which the customers have, but now you will be having some questions like there is a lot of customers moving to the cloud. How would this help us? You know, so ServiceNow in ServiceNow CMDB has a real capabilities to even discover the information from the cloud and maintain them into a CMDB. A simple example, where CMDB is having a cloud automations, data center operations, system engineering, operation centers and support, network management. So it's very important to have this information into your CMDB because you don't know, every customer compliance is different. Some customers want to stay up to date all together when there is new patches in the system, and you need to make sure that the cloud is always been updated, and the information where it is not updated you get it from the CMDB. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say about CMDB today. It's a quick one. So thank you so much. See if there's any questions for anyone. So during my presentation, I was talking about, ServiceNow comes with a capability of reconciliation. Reconciliation is basically an engine within a ServiceNow, which will make sure that um, uh, it will handle your duplicates. As I said, you can specify the reconciliation rules to uniquely identify a CI and outdated CI records during automated updates. See, your updates to the CIs are happening through your discovery tools. Like ServiceNow Discovery will discover this information for them. If they are outdated or it needs to be updated, but what's the current state is been discovered by from your discovery tool. So um, once you have then outdated CI, obviously the infrastructure team will action them because it will be shown to them on their dashboards and it will be updated. Automated updates will be sent. A few of the customers have some third-party tools like SSCM and others to send the patches and update the information automatically. So it can be done through those tools as well. So what is the difference between manually maintained versus dynamically updated entries, CMDB entries? See, manually and dynamically. That's a good question, Isam. Um, when if you're trying to maintain your CMDB manually, it will never reflect the actual state of your current infrastructure because you're always going to stay behind. You're not going to always update because your infrastructure is big. It's very big, and there's day-to-day updates that are happening on your infrastructure. So the only problem when you maintain it manually, you're not actually on the actual state. You don't know what state you're in. It doesn't reflect the infrastructure state at the moment. If it is dynamically updated using the ServiceNow Discovery or other discovery tools, which are continuously running the discovery on the CS, if they find any update, they discover this information immediately and they update your CMDB into ServiceNow, and the reconciliation job make sure that is updated to the golden CMDB, so which is the final state of your CMDB, I can say. So that this will reflect your actual state of your infrastructure. But for manual, sir, there's the problem that it may not reflect the actual state of your infrastructure. I hope I answered your question. And for can ServiceNow CMDB automatically sync with cloud platforms like AWS and Azure? Yes, it can. It can. Yes. It comes with the ServiceNow CMDB comes with some plugins with the information. Obviously, you need to provide the information which is required to access the cloud platforms for a customer's AWS or Azure, and it will discover auto-populate the information from the cloud platforms. It can. So I hope I answer all your questions. If there is anything, obviously you can ping me. My name is Rameez Tamboli. You can ping me on the Teams chat. And thank you so much for your time, all. And it was nice talking to you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.